So a buddy of mine just purchased his first pistol, so I'm just gonna go over some basic stuff here. If you're already a gun owner and you don't need to watch this, but so he got his first pistol. So you take it out the box, it's it's empty. Obviously, you get your magazine, however much it comes with, and so the first thing you want to know is you don't point your pistol at anything at all that you don't want to shoot. You don't point it at yourself. You don't point it at people around you and things like that. Um, and you always want to keep your finger off the trigger. Never put your finger in this little box. Train yourself that way, and it'll come instinctively. You're not gonna put your finger in there. The only time you want to do that is when if you're gonna use it as a self-defense scenario. If you have to use it in self-defense, or you're at the range, or outdoors somewhere shooting. That's the only time you want to put your finger in this little box. There's a third situation, but you have to make sure that your pistol is safe, okay? And to make sure your pistol is safe, let's say your magazine is in there. You want to take it out. You want to pull it back, all the way back. Make sure there's nothing in there. Send it home, and then you can check your trigger, because there's a lot of people that put in aftermarket triggers and things like that for a better, crisper break, or more pounds per pressure, things like that, or less. So first thing you want to do to check is pull it back, okay? And you can lock the slide back, okay? So to do that, you want to pull it back and push up on this slide release here. Every pistol should have one, and you just push up and it'll hold the slide back. And to release the slide, all you got to do is just push down. Or if you want, you don't need to do that. All you got to do is just pull back and let it go. Because when you do that, when you pull back, as you can see here, this the slide release, it'll drop on its own. And yeah, so that's how you do that. A lot of pistols, to break it down, you'll have to pull back and push up to lock it, and then use this to tear it down. But anyway, I'm not gonna go over that. All right. So to load your pistol, what you want to do? These are live ammo. So let's say I'm just gonna put 2 rounds in here. Okay. These are my my carry rounds that I use. So you could either do it 2 ways. You can put it in there, pull back and let go. And the one of the things he was wondering, he was scared of, is that it's gonna fire. If you pull it back and let it go, because you're putting a round in the chamber, and it's kind of intimidating when you see the slide just going back and making a loud noise, right? But pistol won't fire unless you pull the trigger. So let's say these are live rounds. You put it in there, lock it, and you let go, okay? And then there's a round in the chamber. And you don't want to point the pistol at anyone also when you're doing this, so yeah. And to check to see if there's a round, usually you can see the little the round in there, or some pistols will have a little indicator that will show you. Or what you can do is just pull back just a little bit, and you'll see a round in there, okay? So that's how you load a pistol. And let's say you wanna clear the pistol. You take the magazine out, and all you do is just do that, and you're gonna clear the round is gonna come out, okay? And then you have a clear pistol. And then if you want to check, sometimes some people put their fingers in there just to make sure, and then you can test your trigger, okay? And every time you do that, it's gonna reset the trigger. So let's say you pull the trigger, and then you're like, why isn't it giving that click anymore? That's because there's no round in there to push the slide back and reset the trigger. So you want to pull back, check your trigger, and you hear that click, that reset, and you pull back, okay? and it won't do anything unless you rack the slide again. All right. Another way to load your pistol is maybe an easier way is you want to pull the slide back and push up, right? That way it's empty. You can see in there. And then what you want to do, you put your magazine in, and you can push that down, or you can pull back and let go, and it'll go in there and it won't shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger. All right. So let's say you're shooting, and all of a sudden, you know, there goes one round, the slide release, and then your last round is in there, and then it opens up, and you're like, why did it get stuck? Because that was one of the questions he had. When there's a magazine in there and you pull back, it just gets stuck without even utilizing the slide stop. That's to indicate that you're out of bullets, out of rounds. So you just take that out, put in a new magazine or whatever. Let's say that's a new loaded magazine. You put it in there, you either pull back or you can press that, and you have a loaded chamber and you're ready to shoot. All right. And to clear it again, you always want to take the magazine out, and then you pull and it'll come out. All right. If you have the magazine in there and you rack the slide, it's going to get stuck. And that's part of the mechanism to let you know there's an empty magazine in your gun. Yeah. And if you want, you can, let's say there's an empty magazine, you pull back and it gets stuck. You can always press that or pull back. Not pull back. You can press that and it'll send the slide home. I think that's all for the basic stuff here. Let me see. So let's say you want to load your gun, just put a loaded magazine in there and pull back and it'll load. Another thing he should know is that when I load my magazines, right? Let's say, I think this one holds 12, no, 10, yeah. The SIG P365, right? So I'm gonna load my magazines. So the magazine itself holds 10 rounds, and a lot of people carry one in the chamber. There's no purpose in carrying a gun if you don't have one in the chamber, because that defeats the whole purpose of having a quick reaction time in case you have to use it. Okay, so there's 10 rounds in the chamber here, right? And then I like to pull back and push up when I load, put my full magazine in, and then either one, press that or pull back and let it go, and it'll go forward, right? So that's a loaded gun. It's ready to shoot. So what I do, once I load that one in there, so now there's 9 in the magazine. So I have one outside just to put back. So I have a full 10 round magazine. Put it in. So now I have 10 plus 1, so that's 11 rounds in there. If your gun holds 6 in the magazine, then you'll have 6 in here and 1 in there, giving you a total of 7. So yeah, this gun is hot. It's ready to shoot, and I'll just put it in my holster and put it in my pants, and that's it. And it won't go off. I carry appendix. And yeah, and it's kind of scary for the first time because it's pointing right at your groin, and a lot of people think, what if the gun goes off? Pistols nowadays, weapons nowadays are really safe, so there's not an issue with that. So it's up to you what you feel comfortable with. Some people put it in the back, but if you put it in your appendix, it's easier to draw in case of a situation, if you're in a situation that you have to use it in self-defense. So yeah, those are the basics. So always remember, don't point it at anyone or anything you don't want to shoot, and keep your finger off the trigger, especially when it's loaded. Don't ever put your finger in there. If you've checked and double check and triple check and make sure it's unloaded, then you can go ahead and play with your trigger. And it's good to practice dry fire with your trigger. That way, you pull your trigger, you pull back, reset it, pull your trigger, pull back, reset it, and that'll help you get a feel for your trigger, and where to hold your pressure before you actually give it enough pressure to shoot it. All right, that's just a quick breakdown on basic pistol, whatever, education or whatever. Yeah, so if there's anything I left out, let me know. Thanks.